The Graffiti Ghost. I used to walk home the same way every night. Same route, same timing. 3 blocks down Mason Street, left on 5th. Then the final stretch past the old brick warehouse. The kind of routine that makes you feel safe, you know? Predictable. The mural appeared on a Tuesday. I remember because I'd stopped at Tony's for a slice, pepperoni, extra cheese, and I was walking slower than usual, trying not to drip grease on my jacket. That's when I saw it. Fresh paint on the warehouse wall, still wet from the look of the colors bleeding slightly in the streetlight. It was good, really good. A woman's face, eyes closed, peaceful. But there was something about the way the shadows fell across her features, something that made me stop chewing. The next morning, the news reported a missing person. Sarah Chen, 26, last seen leaving her apartment on Tuesday evening. The photo they showed, I stood in my kitchen, coffee growing cold in my hand, staring at the television screen. It was her, the face from the mural. I told myself it was coincidence. Artists paint faces all the time, random faces from their imagination, from photographs, from memory. But when I walked past that wall again that evening, I couldn't help but slow down. Look closer. The paint had dried now, but something was different. The colors seemed deeper somehow, more vivid. And her eyes, I could have sworn they were closed the night before. Now they were slightly open, just a sliver of white showing beneath the lids. Pretty intense, right? I jumped, nearly dropping my keys. A guy about my age was standing a few feet away, hands shoved deep in his hoodie pockets. I hadn't heard him approach. "The mural," he said, nodding toward the wall. "Been watching people stop and stare all day, like they can't look away." "Yeah," I managed. "It's realistic." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. That's one way to put it. I wanted to ask him what he meant by that, but something in his tone made me keep walking instead. When I glanced back, he was still standing there, still staring at the painted woman's face. That night, I dreamed about Sarah Chen. In the dream, she was trying to tell me something, her lips moving soundlessly, while tears of paint ran down her cheeks in brilliant streaks of blue and gold. I woke up at 3 a.m. with the strangest urge to go back to the warehouse, to check on the mural. I lay there in the dark, telling myself it was just a weird dream, just my brain processing a disturbing coincidence. But the urge wouldn't go away. By Thursday, they found Sarah's body in the river. The news said she'd been strangled, dumped sometime Tuesday night. I stood at my living room window, looking out at the street, and felt something cold settle in my stomach. Tuesday night, the same night the mural appeared. I should have called the police then. Should have reported what I'd seen, the timing, the resemblance. But what would I have said? That some street artist had painted a victim's face before she was officially reported dead? They'd think I was crazy. Or worse, they'd think I was involved. So I kept walking my route, kept passing the mural. And each night, I noticed something new. A shadow that hadn't been there before. A different angle to her head. The way her hand seemed to be reaching out, like she was trying to claw her way out of the brick. Friday night, there was a new addition. Words painted in dripping red letters below her portrait. "Find me." I stopped sleeping well after that. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those painted features shifting, changing, becoming more desperate, more alive. The police had no leads on Sarah Chen's murder. The investigation stalled. But the mural The mural kept evolving. By the following Tuesday, exactly 1 week after I first saw it, new details had emerged around the edges. A dark alley, a shadowy figure in the background, barely visible unless you looked at just the right angle. And Sarah's eyes were wide open now, staring directly at anyone who passed by. I started taking pictures, not because I wanted to, but because I needed proof, evidence that I wasn't losing my mind. The changes were subtle, but they were real. Each night, something shifted. A line here, a shadow there, colors bleeding into new patterns. You feel it too, don't you? The same guy from before. He was there every few nights now, always watching the wall, always with that same unsettling smile. This time, I didn't jump. I'd started expecting him. Feel what? I asked. The pull, the need to keep coming back, to figure it out. He stepped closer to the mural, close enough that the streetlight cast his shadow across Sarah's painted face. She wants us to solve it, to find who did this to her. It's just graffiti, I said, but my voice sounded hollow even to me. Is it? He reached out like he was going to touch the wall, then stopped. Look closer. Really look. I didn't want to, but I did. And that's when I saw them. Tiny details I'd missed before. A license plate number worked into the brick pattern. A street sign barely visible in the painted background. An address, 1247, hidden in the folds of Sarah's clothing. How long have those been there? I whispered. Since the beginning, he said. She's been trying to tell us from the start. We just weren't listening. I went home that night and looked up the address. 1247, Riverside Drive, an apartment building about 2 miles from where Sarah's body was found. The license plate belonged to a blue Honda registered to someone named Marcus Fell. I should have called the police then, should have reported everything. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the way the guy had smiled when I'd finally seen the hidden details. Maybe it was the growing certainty that this was bigger than just one murder. Or maybe it was the dream I'd had the night before, where Sarah had grabbed my arm with paint-stained fingers and whispered, "If you don't finish this, you'll be next." I drove to 1247 Riverside Drive the next evening. Told myself I was just curious, just wanted to see if there was any connection. The building was old, run down. Half the windows were boarded up, but there was a blue Honda parked in the lot. Same plates as the ones hidden in the mural. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, engine running, trying to decide what to do. Then I saw him coming out of the building. Marcus Fell, I assumed. Mid-30s, average height, the kind of guy you'd forget the moment he walked past you. He got in the Honda and drove away. I followed him. I don't know why. I'm not a detective. I'm not even particularly brave. But something was pulling me forward, the same force that kept drawing me back to that wall night after night. He led me through the city, taking random turns, stopping at a gas station, a convenience store. Normal errands, normal life. But every time I looked at him, I thought about Sarah Chen's painted eyes and the way they seemed to track movement across the street. Then he pulled into an alley behind a strip mall. I parked at the corner, far enough away that he wouldn't notice me, but close enough to see what he was doing. He popped his trunk and pulled out a duffel bag, heavy from the way he carried it. He looked around, that quick, paranoid glance people do when they think they might be watched, then disappeared into the shadows between 2 buildings. I should have called the police right then, should have driven home and pretended I'd never seen anything. Instead, I got out of my car and followed him into the alley. The smell hit me first. Something chemical and sharp, mixed with something else I didn't want to identify. Then I saw the spray cans scattered on the ground. Dozens of them. Different colors, different brands, and on the wall behind the dumpster, barely visible in the dim light filtering down from the street, was another mural. A man's face this time, eyes wide with terror, mouth open like he was screaming. Below the portrait, in that same dripping red paint, "Find me. You shouldn't be here." I spun around. Marcus was standing at the mouth of the alley, blocking my exit. Up close, his face was different than I'd expected. Hollow, haunted, like someone who hadn't slept in weeks. "Neither should you," I said, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. He laughed, but it came out broken, bitter. "You think I have a choice? You think any of us do?" He gestured at the wall. "Look around, really look." I did, and that's when I saw them. More murals, hidden in the shadows, painted on surfaces I hadn't noticed at first. Faces, dozens of them. Men, women, different ages, different ethnicities. All with that same desperate expression. All with the same message underneath. "She makes me paint them," Marcus whispered. "Every night, I try to go home, try to sleep. But she calls me back, shows me their faces, shows me where they died." His hands were shaking. "If I don't paint them, if I don't get every detail right, she..." He didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. "Who is she?" I asked. "The first one, Sarah. She won't let me stop until someone solves them all, until someone finds them all." His voice cracked. "But no one ever does. People see the murals, they get curious, they start investigating, and then..." He pointed to a fresh space on the wall, blank brick, waiting. "Then she has a new face for me to paint." I ran, pushed past Marcus, stumbled over the scattered spray cans, scraped my hand on the brick wall as I clawed my way out of that alley. I could hear him calling after me, but I didn't stop, didn't look back. I drove home with my hands shaking so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel, locked every door, closed every curtain, turned on every light in my apartment, tried to convince myself it was all some elaborate delusion, some kind of shared psychosis. But I couldn't stop thinking about those faces on the walls, the way their eyes seemed to follow me even in the darkness of that alley. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. By Thursday, I was a wreck. Called in sick to work, lived on coffee and whatever was left in my refrigerator. Avoided the warehouse wall completely. Took a different route home that added 20 minutes to my walk. But on Friday night, the urge came back, stronger than before. I found myself standing in front of the original mural at 2 a.m, still wearing my pajamas and an old jacket I'd grabbed on the way out. I don't even remember leaving my apartment. One moment, I was sitting on my couch, staring at nothing. The next, I was here. Sarah's painted face had changed again. The desperation in her eyes had softened into something else. Something that looked almost like gratitude. "You understand now?" I turned. The guy in the hoodie was there, but something was different about him. In the streetlight, I could see through him, just slightly, like he was made of watercolor paint that hadn't quite dried. "You're not real," I said. "Neither is she. Not anymore." He nodded toward the mural. "But death doesn't end everything. Sometimes it just changes the rules." What does she want? Justice, resolution, for someone to care enough to dig deeper. He smiled, and this time It was sad rather than unsettling. Marcus killed her, killed all of them, but he was never caught, never even suspected. So she makes him paint their stories, hoping someone will see. Someone will solve what the police couldn't. And if they do, then maybe she can rest. Maybe they all can. He paused, and maybe the cycle stops. I thought about the empty space on the alley wall, about Marcus's shaking hands and hollow eyes. What if no one solves it? Then he keeps painting, and she keeps calling people like you, people who notice things, people who care. His form was getting fainter, until someone gets too close, asks too many questions, becomes another face on another wall. The streetlight flickered. When it steadied, I was alone. I went to the police the next morning, told them about Marcus Fell, about the address, about the Honda. They thought I was crazy at first, but the license plate was real. The apartment was real. And when they searched it, they found things, evidence, connections to Sarah Chen and others. Marcus confessed to everything. 17 murders over 6 years. He said he was glad it was finally over. Said maybe now he could sleep again. The murals faded after that. Within a week, they were gone. Not painted over or scrubbed away, just gone. Like they'd never existed at all. I still walk past the warehouse sometimes. The wall is blank now, weathered brick with no trace of paint. But occasionally, late at night, when the streetlight hits it just right, I think I see something. A shadow, a suggestion of features, a woman's face, eyes closed, finally at peace. I never saw the guy in the hoodie again. But sometimes, I wonder if he was one of them. One of the faces Marcus had painted before I came along. Someone else who'd gotten too close, asked too many questions. Someone else who'd cared enough to see